Does your team have a leadership void?
When we're in the offensive line, where you,
just overall when these.
But seriously, where would you have a leadership void? Is it an experience void? Is it a talent void? Is it a leadership void? I'm not trying to be cute here. The answer is no. The answer is no.
I'm asking.
There's not a. Well, just shut up and let me answer. No.
Jerry, when you go into the locker room, what I'm asking is, do you see the intangibles?
You're not asking me that. I gave you the answer. When I go into the locker room, there's no leadership void in my eyes.
Okay.
Now that's your answer. Let's move on.
We should mention Jerry Jones did then go on to profusely apologize, said it was just a culmination of frustration that had been building up for a long time. But Nick, I'll start with you. What was your reaction to what Jerry Jones had to say and how he said it?
It was multi-layered. And listen, I actually used to work with the guy who was interviewing him there. And as a former radio guy myself, part of my reaction was, man, oh boy. That was one of the more awkward interactions on a radio show since I asked Matt Schaub on the Matt Schaub show if he would bench himself. He didn't tell me to shut up, but he never did the show again. So, listen, my reaction is, once I got past that, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, I feel badly for Jerry Jones. I know nobody does. I know folks take massive schadenfreude in the Cowboys' struggles. But if you're Jerry Jones, just put yourself in his shoes for a moment. Now, the shoes, I understand, are propped up on a marble table in a billion-dollar yacht. I get that. But he loves football. He lives for football. And think about what the last 6 years have been. Since Dez caught it, but he didn't, and that Super Bowl chance is wiped away. The next year, Tony Romo gets hurt. The next year, Tony Romo gets hurt again, but you find Dak Prescott, and that year ends in heartbreak because of the Mason Crosby in and then out kick. The next year, you're fighting with the league all year about Zeke, and you miss the playoffs. The next year, you think you turn it around by signing Amari Cooper, and you lose another playoff heartbreak. The next year, you blame it all on the coach because you can't win close games. And then you're at this year, all your pieces in place, as expensive of any team as you have, everyone ready, seemingly everyone healthy, and it's a disaster. And you're 78 years old, and you're like, what more can I do? So I feel badly for Cowboys fans. I feel badly for Jerry Jones. They didn't deserve to have Dak Prescott break his ankle, have the entire defense forget how to play, and maybe have hired the wrong coach. So that's my reaction, Brandon, is I feel badly for Jerry Jones because I can only imagine how frustrating the last half decade has been for him.
Then go get a leader. Then the question is right. You know, it was valid. It was a valid question to ask, right? Go back to what you said, Tony Romo, hit the Tony Romo days. You go in that locker room, what broke down that team? Tony Romo, Jason Witten, Terrell Owens, even Jason Garrett. They were all fighting. They didn't get along. And then you fast forward to today. Like, show me where the leader is. There isn't a leader there. There isn't a Bobby Wagner on the defensive side where you look at the roster and say, that's the guy. There isn't a guy on the offensive side where you say, that's the guy. You have your best player on the offense right now who is turning the ball over every single game, dropping balls, going through his hands, picks all over the place. So when you look at this question, to me, it's valid. Now, Jerry, he could have been a bit more of a professional. Right? Like, I understand that it's tough sitting there talking to the media every single day, but I understand that, you know, that question should have been asked because that's the only thing that's missing on this team. They have the roster. They have a good coach, I believe, okay? Not on the defensive side, but they have enough on the offensive side. So why does it look like this? While maybe you have the answer, but for me, you know, this right here was a valid question. They need leadership.
All right, so Brandon, you're saying that like basically Zeke should step up and fill that void. We know that offensively, he said that he wants to carry the load now that Dak's gone. But do you think that inside the locker room, that's Zeke's job as well?
Well, what I'm saying is they need a leader, and I don't know if it's in that locker room, right? Like, it's either you're a leader or you're not. I do believe it's a skill.
Right,
I do believe you can grow.
All right, can you go
not
get
at this
a
point of the season,
leadership?
right? Because
you can't. So it's a wrap.
It's tough. It's tough for a guy to come in mid-season and be that guy. It just doesn't happen. You don't know him. You know, you got to build relationships. There's going to be some chemistry, some continuity issues. So, no, you can't just go get a guy mid-season and think that he's going to galvanize this locker room and galvanize this team. It just doesn't happen. So, you know, you would expect that Zeke is that guy. You would expect that those guys on the defensive line that they pay so much money that they would be the guy, but they're not.
Go ahead, Jenna.
Well, I was going to say, Nick, and I'm probably going to lead into you, then maybe Jerry Jones needs to let Mike McCarthy be that guy if there's no one on the team. Can't your head coach galvanize a locker room when no one else right now is in there doing that?
Well, listen, obviously, part of the head coach inherently is leadership. But I think what Brandon's talking about is from a player's perspective, that it's top down from the head coach, but then each individual side of the football, and then maybe even smaller, each individual position group has leaders. I get that on the offensive side, the leader clearly and obviously was Dak. He suffered a horrible injury. And the offense, by the way, aside from the turnovers, I know that's a big but aside from the turnovers, prior to Dak's injury, the offense was functioning at a high level. My question for Brandon is, did they go into the season not thinking they needed one on defense? Or did they think they had one? Did they think it was going to be DeMarcus Lawrence? They thought it was going to be Jalen Smith. They thought did they think he was there and whomever that person is isn't doing it?
Absolutely.
Or did they just not think that was an important part of it? Like, because I don't know who that would be on defense.
Jalen Smith. I've been around Jalen. He's an awesome guy. He's the ultimate competitor. I don't know what's happening with him. I don't know what's happening with Zeke. So, yes, they went into this season, Jenna, thinking that they had it. Because when you look at the roster outside, you're like, yeah, they got it. Dak Prescott on this side, Jalen on the other side. We are good to go. And obviously not. And it's not just from, you know, the record. I'm looking at the film. I want to see it show up on film. I want to see a guy angry so that the conversation we had around Tom Brady 3 weeks ago from Thursday Night Football when he's cursing out his teammates and getting on them, holding them accountable, where's that? Like, that's what you want to see in a losing locker room. You want to see guys passionate. You want to see guys that care. I haven't seen that yet. That is healthy communication. I want to see guys getting after it with one another. I don't want to see guys talking about, well, it's just on me. No. Call each other out. And internally, call each other out. But I want to see it.
And while you were talking, the Cowboys are trying to find accountability elsewhere. Tom Pelissero just tweeted 30 seconds ago that Dontari Poe and Darryl Worley are either going to be traded or cut today.